What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about the Oblivion Remake Remaster, hopefully, potentially, one more time. We got maybe the definitive rumor, right? So what I'll do, this comes from Jeff Grubb, I'm just going to play the clip. He says it in a nice, short, and condensed way. We'll let him talk, and then we'll go over what he said.
All right, let's update on Oblivion and the Shadow Drop last week. I think it was last week on this show, Emma.
We were talking about it,
We were talking about it. Like, oh yeah, it should Shadow Drop at any moment. I'll give people a week now. The week of April 21st. So basically, the last week of this month, next week, essentially.
So at this point, I'm still very willing to believe it. You know, we kind of say the same thing in all these videos, so I'll try to cut through the fluff and just get to the action. From the beginning, okay? In fact, actually, some of the first times that we started to hear about this shadow dropping type possibility, I believe it was Nate the Hate who had always said second half of April. Now, I think we had some fakers out there, some people, some wannabe insiders that were saying, you know, early April, trying to just throw some dates out, see if one of them would stick. But as it got closer and closer, this is not the first person. This is, you know, Jeff Grubb, obviously big name, but I believe Nate the Hate's been saying this the whole time. I think he's doubled down on the second half of April, you know, side of things. Obviously, you just heard Jeff Grubb say it. Now, you know, the thing with Jeff Grubb is, like, he says next week. He literally says, you know, the week of the 21st. So that's next week. Then he says, you know, slash the last week of April. And he's kind of saying that is next week. I mean, I guess that's true because the week after, I mean, it does go, I think, till the Wednesday. You could potentially drop it like the 29th, I guess, like just a day or two before the end of April. But I would imagine, you know, if enough people are saying it and enough people of this kind of notoriety, is that, I don't know if that's the right word actually to use for them, but, you know, whatever. These are people that know what they're talking about generally. You know, if they're saying next week, I feel like it's going to be next week. Now, I do just want to say one thing before I end the video, and we're not going to really have a chance to talk about it, you know, again, I guess, before the game comes out, because if they shadow drop it, they're just going to announce it and say, okay, it's out. Number one, this is going to be one of the bigger shadow drop games, I think, in all of existence, and most of these shadow drop games are all under Xbox's umbrella, kind of historically in the last couple of years. Number two, I really, from a personal side of things, okay, I've talked about my personal feel on the Oblivion stuff. I mean, I'm excited for it, and I want it, and I think it's going to be a pretty big deal, and, you know, I would get it. This is going to be something I do. I imagine it's going to be on Game Pass, easy, right? One click, and you have it. But I am actually kind of disappointed in the entire, like, ecosystem. Why are you doing it the same week as Clair Obscur? So Clair Obscur, I believe, is next Friday or next Thursday. Like, it's next week. Clair Obscur is a small studio, I think like 30, 40 people that have been working a long time on a game that looks tremendous. It looks like a Game of the Year contender to me. 30-ish hours, awesome turn-based kind of stuff, the menus, the characters, the story, everything. We've talked about Clair Obscur on this channel a few times at this point. It's on Game Pass. Now, it's not through Xbox, right? Like, they're not an Xbox-owned company, but, like, they announced their game at an Xbox event. They further showed it off again at that developer direct a few months ago. I don't understand why you're going to put, because I guess, like, what would Oblivion, who hurts who? If next week Oblivion drops, wouldn't Oblivion hurt Expedition 33? See, that game is a new experience, so to me, I'm more excited for that. Okay, just generally, like, something brand new versus a remake, remaster. I'm always probably going to lean towards the brand new. Plus, it looks freaking awesome, okay? But I just don't understand why, you know, because I feel like Oblivion from the larger mind space, right? People hear about Oblivion, it's something familiar. And something familiar I do think actually would get people to focus on it faster and easier than a brand new title. I just don't get it. I get they're not an Xbox studio, but all of it's been through Xbox. They clearly have an Xbox partnership. They're doing it through Game Pass. So, you know, it's on other consoles and other platforms, but it's through Game Pass, and that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty huge thing. And so you're going to do the Oblivion Remake Remaster the same week as it? Maybe even like 2 days, 3 days before? It kind of feels wrong. I mean, I guess that's what 2 minutes of me ranting about is. Just feels like something that it's not really fair to Expedition 33. So, not to make it entirely about that, but like I said, the only reason I throw that in, we're not going to have time to talk about it, because they might say, okay, on Tuesday, they release a blog post, they post a trailer, and the game is out. So there's not time to do a video like this. So just to kind of throw it out there, see what you guys think. But I am excited. I will play it. But I'm also, I'm going to drop it for a few days or a week or two to do Expedition 33, and then I'll go back to Oblivion. That's kind of that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.